Ever since Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach came out, there's been a resurgence in popularity with regards to the entire FNAF series. With that, there's also a bunch of people that want to know how to make a security camera and don't know how. So, here we are. Out of everything you could possibly make inside of this game, you want to make a security camera. Nice. Hey everyone, this is Syntax, and today for you guys I have a super simple, quick, and easy tutorial on how to make working security cameras inside of Fortnite Creative. I actually did a video already on this exact concept about a year ago on this channel for my Cartoon Cat map, but the method that I used was old and outdated, and it doesn't work anymore, so I'm going to be going over the new method because this one is a lot better. And it just so happens to be the case that the last map I released has a bunch of security cameras, so let's go take a look at them. The absolute bare minimum devices you will need to make a working security camera is a couple of teleporters, a couple of buttons, a Mutator Zone, and probably a barrier. I only say probably because there are a few scenarios where you wouldn't need one, but you'll more than likely need one. Now, most security cameras are going to be accessed through something like a screen, so if you want to place down like a TV from Weeping Woods, then you can just do that, but I'll show you what I did in this map because it's a little bit different. See, for this map, I actually made an iPad that acts as a camera interface that has a bunch of separate individual rooms that when you click on them, it takes them to those corresponding rooms. Obviously, you don't have to have a whole interface. You can just use one screen, but basically, you're going to take a button and you're going to put that on said screen, and then we're going to use that to access our camera. So for example, I have this button sitting over what I have labeled is the front door camera, and if we go ahead and look at these settings, you can see exactly how you have to set it up. I have the interaction time set to instant, which of course it doesn't have to be, it's just going to be relative to whatever your map is, and I have the times can trigger set to infinite because you can access this camera an infinite amount of times. If you only want it to be like once or twice, just set this to either 1 or 2 or whatever. There's no delay, there's no reset delay, and I turn the trigger sound off because I don't want it to make a noise when you click on it. It's then enabled at game start. I have the interaction text just set to the front door cam because that's the name of the camera I'll be accessing. The interaction radius will be relative to how large your screen is, and then I just have this sending on a channel that corresponds in my map, which in this case is channel 29. The next thing you want to do is link up a teleporter to the button we just created for the respective camera we're going to be traveling to, which in this case is the front door camera. Right here is the teleporter that I have set up for this camera, and the settings on this are actually really important, so pay attention. This doesn't need anything with groups, so you can completely ignore that setting. I have it enabled during phase all because there's no reason to have it enabled during phase anything else. It's not playing the visual effects, it's not playing the sound effects, and I'm not conserving my momentum. Probably the most important aspect is to face the player in the teleporter direction, because what this does is it sets up a little line. You guys see that line right there? Because that line is facing in the direction it's facing, when I am teleported here, my camera is going to be facing sort of that direction. You don't have to worry about the effect radius or the maintain relative position because the radius is not active, and obviously we're not skydiving after we're teleporting, so you can set that to no, and then we're just linking up the channels that I had on the button, which in this case is channel 29. So I click that button, it sends a signal on channel 29, and then I teleport to this teleporter when receiving from 29. Now, the next thing you want to do is set up a Mutator Zone that encompasses the player's entire position. You can see that this Mutator Zone is completely covering that teleporter. The settings on this Mutator Zone can pretty much be whatever you want them to be. You can allow them to fire their weapon, you can allow them to build, you can allow them to do whatever, as long as you set the movement multiplier to 0. What this does is disables the player's ability to move horizontally, and if you're trying to simulate a camera, it's important that they can't move that much. Now, unfortunately, they can still jump and they can still crouch, so if you want, you can put a barrier above their head to restrict them from jumping as much as possible, but they're still going to be able to crouch, which kind of sucks. There's actually 5 different versions of this camera that I have set up that covers all of the actual camera positions, but you can see that the barrier is right here, and they just kind of land on it when they teleport to this camera. Now, teleporters and barriers are not that compatible, so it'll probably take a couple tries to get that smooth, but just play around with the barrier placements and you should be okay. Now, the last key aspect in making working security cameras is actually putting the player in first person. I did this with giant helipads that are glitched, but if you don't have these, you can just grow the helipads to as big as they can get. And honestly, I don't even know how to get the giant helipads anymore. I got them a long time ago through some glitch, so I'm sure there's tutorials on YouTube on how to get them, but if you can't get access to them, just take the helipads and grow them as large as they can go. Oh, and I almost forgot, I have a button that is set up that takes us back to our iPad screen, or in this case, if you're clicking the camera from an office, you're going to want to set up a button that takes you back to that office. You can actually see the button right here. It has a relatively large radius, and for some reason I can't access it because I think the barrier's in the way. But basically that button is hooked up to a teleporter, so when I click it, it sends a signal on channel 22, teleporting me back to this camera menu. So yeah, in summary, you basically have a button that takes you to the teleporter camera, and then a button that takes you back, all while having mutator zones that hold you still, helipads to put you in first person, and barriers to stand on. Again, just to prove to you guys that this works, I am actually on my camera menu right now. If I click the front door cam, it's going to bring me to this teleporter, and then when I click the exit cam button, it's going to take me back to the camera menu. I also made it so that the button that brings me back to this camera menu is placed in such a way that I don't have to move my analog stick to actually access it. I can just click it right from where I click the camera. And of course, there's more than just the front door cam. All of the cameras that are hooked up in this map are hooked up in the exact same way. It is just buttons on different channels that are linked up to teleporters. So yeah, super simple stuff. Just link up a bunch of buttons to teleporters and you should be okay. So yeah, that's working teleporters. Depending on how many times you want to check the camera, or where you want the camera to be, or how you want to be facing, a bunch of those factors are going to vary, but it's really all the same concept and it's the same setup for every camera. But anyway, that is everything I have for you guys today. I really do hope this video helped you out, and yeah, this has been Syntax. Later.